Kurenai carried the weight of the world on her small shoulders. It had been 3 moons since her mother, her guiding light, had faded away. 3 moons of suffocating silence in their small hut. 3 moons of hollow echoes where her mother's laughter used to be. The pain was a living thing, a serpent coiled tightly around her heart, squeezing the joy out of her. It whispered to her in the dead of night, filling her dreams with visions of her mother's kind eyes, now shut forever. Anger, hot and sharp, warred with the icy despair that threatened to consume her. She knew she couldn't continue like this. She had to find a way to let go. Her mother, before her murder, had taught her a way. A ritual performed under a moonless sky to release the pain and anger before they consumed her. This night, the sky mirrored Kurenai's heart, dark, vast, and empty. Tonight, she would perform the ritual. Tonight, she would begin to heal. The tools of release were simple, but each held a specific significance. A small pouch of dried herbs, rosemary for remembrance, lavender for peace and sage for cleansing, filled the air with a sharp, earthy aroma when burned. A black candle, thick and unscented, represented the darkness within Kurenai, the pain she desperately needed to release. 2 slender blue candles, symbolizing hope and healing, stood ready to guide her out of the darkness. Lastly, a handful of crimson leaves, gathered from the base of a maple tree, would mark the sacred space where the ritual would take place. These were not mere objects to Kurenai, but conduits, imbued with the power to help her heal. Each held a memory, a prayer, a whispered hope for a future where her heart could hold both joy and grief without breaking. Moonless nights held a special significance for Kurenai's village. They were believed to be a time when the veil between the physical and spiritual realms was thinnest, a time when whispers could reach departed souls and burdens could be lifted. Her mother had told her stories of these nights, stories of ancient magic and powerful spirits. She described them as nights when the earth itself held its breath, listening to the sorrows of the world. Kurenai had sought out a secluded clearing deep within the forest. It was a place of quiet solace, where the only sounds were the whisper of the wind through the leaves and the gentle babbling of a nearby stream. She felt safe here, cocooned by the ancient trees and the watchful eyes of the forest spirits. This was her sanctuary, a place where she could be vulnerable, where she could shed her pain without fear or judgment. Her bare feet moved silently over the damp earth as she gathered the fallen leaves, their crimson hues vibrant even in the darkness. She arranged them in a circle, a sacred boundary between her grief and the rest of the world. Stepping inside, she lit the incense, the pungent aroma filling the air, a tangible representation of her pain. Closing her eyes, she raised her face to the night sky, picturing her mother's face among the stars. "Mother," she whispered, her voice trembling, "I miss you." Hot tears streamed down her face, each one a testament to the depth of her love and the rawness of her loss. The black candle felt cold in her hand, its smooth surface hard against her palm. She dug her nails into the wax, feeling a strange sense of release as she imagined her pain flowing out of her into the candle. With trembling hands she lit the wick, the small flame flickering against the darkness. "Hold my pain," she whispered to the flame, her voice barely audible above the rustling leaves. Stepping out of the circle of leaves, she lit the 2 blue candles one by one, placing them on opposite sides of the circle. She watched as the 3 flames danced in the darkness, the black candle representing her pain, slowly being consumed by the flames of hope and healing. As she watched the candles burn, A strange sense of calm washed over her. It wasn't that the pain was gone, not yet. It was more like a loosening of the serpent's coils around her heart. A tiny bit of space created where there had been none before. She stayed there for hours, until the first rays of dawn kissed the treetops, the only sounds the crackling of the flames and the beating of her own heart, slowly returning to a normal rhythm. When the last candle flickered and died, she felt a weight lift from her chest. She wasn't healed, not completely, but a small part of her, the part that had been drowning in grief, could finally breathe again. Kurenai repeated the ritual every moonless night. It became her lifeline, a way to navigate the treacherous waters of her grief. Each time she felt a little lighter, a little freer. The anger and resentment that had threatened to consume her slowly gave way to acceptance, then to peace. The ritual was not a magic cure, erasing her pain entirely, but it was a way for her to acknowledge her grief, to give it space to exist without allowing it to define her. It was a way for her to honor her mother's memory without being held captive by it. In the quiet clearing, under the cloak of darkness, Kurenai found her release. And in that release she discovered a new kind of strength, a purity of heart and soul that shone brighter than even the pain of her loss.